next guest wants to help young people solidify their futures. Important topic, right?
Yeah, right.
He is the CEO of DMG Investments. Welcome to the show, Jacky Hu. How are you?
Hi there.
Yeah.
So some of our viewers are straight out of college. They don't have a lot of money. Where the
Yeah,
heck do they
same
get started?
question. I'm in debt. I maybe have a 40, 50K job if I'm lucky. I'm barely making ends meet. I can't even think about it.
Okay, so let's start with that. I think my suggestion for most of the young graduates from the school is if you don't have enough capital to start a big real estate like buying property, probably the best way is investing into those like crowdfunding, which is related to the real estate, or like buying the REITs from the stock market.
REITs, real
What is
estate.
REITs?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the easiest.
REITs. Can you spell that out?
REIT.
Real estate.
Real estate investment trust.
Yeah, okay.
So there's ways to invest in property without outright owning property, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And the risk for those are lower because, for example, the structure that set up the REITs is instead of own one property at the one location, you have buying the REITs, you buy into 10, 20, 30 properties at the same time. So it's averaged down the risk for your investment.
So where did you come from and how did you get into this?
Yeah, how did you get into the? You're 28.
Yeah.
Pretty successful guy. Tell us your story.
So, I started the company literally 7 years ago on Wall Street.
At 21, did anyone take you seriously when you walked through the door?
No, even now, it's no. So it's not easy to start the business at that time. I didn't hiring anyone until we actually secured the first property in New Jersey. That was 2014. And then I started hiring people, hiring team, doing the projects. So for now, we successfully done 10 projects. And after that 10 projects, we assembled such a good team with 60 people. Yeah.
So you're saying, okay, so for a while, let's say at least a couple years, you were on your own.
Yes.
You were on your own.
Actually, only 1 year.
Only 1 year you were on your own. And then how did you get to a point where you're like, oh my God, I have to hire somebody?
Until I can share with you. From the beginning, I tried to lower the operating expenses by not hiring too many people. And
That's the biggest driver of operating expenses is labor costs. Yeah.
until I realized, okay, I only have 24 hours a day. And my ability cannot handle that much work, and which is delaying the project processing. So at that time, I decided, okay, I have to start hiring more people to handle different part of the job.
Okay, and then I have to ask you again, when we talk about, you got to buy a house, and then we think, oh my God, well, I'll get to it sometime later in my life.
10 years roll by and we don't do it.
We'll go by. But, especially if I'm, 21, 22, 23, deeply in student debt. That being said, there is another set of problems, which is we grew up when we were, in school, maybe either undergrad or grad school, the housing crash happened.
Yeah, a lot of people paid a lot of money for houses and they went down 50%.
We remember that because we grew up with it, and in a way, real estate is a horrifying phrase.
I would say.
How do you? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say first, most of people they mix up with financial crisis and the real estate crash. But actually, the financial crisis is a crash of the financial product related to real estate. It's not real estate itself. Still for now, I think after the 1919 to now, until now, the real estate, generally speaking, still grows for the past 100 years. And if you only consider real estate, I suggest, for example, if you need a place to live, right now you have some extra capital, buy one instead of renting one, because renting one after 10 years, you still don't own anything.
Yeah.
Buy one. Right now, interest rate is very low, and hopefully this year probably going to drop another.
0.5%,
yeah,
0.75%, yeah.
Which will help the debt. Because you're getting the lowest interest rate on the history. I think right now probably a good time to buy. Yeah.
So a lot of people look at you though, Jacky. I mean, I'm older than you, and I'm like, how did he do it? How did you handle being the youngest person in the room and being in charge? How did you handle not being taken seriously? How did you handle knowing how to do the right thing with little direction?
Yeah, I think first you need to focus on what you do. you have to show other people the proficiency on what you're doing. For example, people may look down on you because of the age and no one knows about you, but until you actually show them you know what you're doing, and you can actually point out all the critical items on the problem, and they will start treat you seriously. And I think many of the young graduates, like young people after they graduate school or they got the first job, they start struggling about, what I should do in the future. But most of people, they wasted too much time on make a decision by not acting. So I think act is more important than like struggling thinking. Everyone is waiting for the perfect opportunity, but they didn't realize most of the opportunity, if you focus, spending time, work hard, you can get to a successful point.
Yeah, that is a very good suggestion.
It is,
What did
isn't
you
it?
study?
Chemistry.
Chemistry. Okay. And I don't want to stereotype, anybody on this show, but for what you do, I actually do think you have a slight advantage going into the room, even
Yeah,
though you were
chemistry's
young,
hard.
because even not knowing your chemistry, just because people will make the assumption, correctly or incorrectly, that you know how to do a spreadsheet, and therefore you're probably more trustworthy than a lot of other people. So I don't
I
think
can't do a spreadsheet.
Yeah. And I would make that assumption about you too, that you can do, especially because, come on, like if you're
I'll
a
say,
guy,
like,
you have that leg
Even
up.
the major is slightly different about what I'm doing right now, but the mindset is same. For example, by chemistry, I have to think through every step in the chemistry, like reactions, make sure the result is right.
Or it turns into nothing.
That's right. Yeah. Or something else worse. So, and for real estate, the same thing. I have to make sure every department works coordinating, like in a right way to make sure the project's successful at the end. So I think the mindset is the same.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We really
Yeah, thank you
appreciate
for coming on. And I always love people who studied chemistry who turn into something else. So thank
Okay.
you. Great to meet you.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, David.